Welcome, baby birds. It is the Spam and Eggs podcast.
Welcome to the pain zone. Nothing escapes his attention.
I'll watch your whole family eat dinner.
Yo.
All right, dude, that's enough of that. Welcome, kids. Have a seat, rest them bones, strap in and strap up for the very next episode of your 11th favorite podcast, the Spam and Eggs podcast. Your boy has been busy, dude. It's been a while, but it's always been a while. Right? What do you want from me? He's got a lot of interests, and he's got a lot of, he's multifaceted. And he's a Renaissance man without the expertise. That's me, dude. 31 and a master of 0. I thought I'd be the cat's pajamas by 31, dude, and honestly, not so. I'm the cat's asshole. Right? Just tender and brown. That's how I'm going to describe myself from now on. Someone asked me, tell me about yourself. I just tender and brown like a cat's asshole. And not a Renaissance man. I actually don't have that many interests that take away from my ability to do this. In theory, most of my interests are supposed to help me with this and not, detract. I think the thing that's detracting from the goals, one of them is to do this a lot, is the fact that I'm just collecting day jobs like they're chapstick and marbles, dude, which is not good for the mental. But here we are, man. These are my decisions, and we're living the life that equals those decisions. But at the end of the day, I'm really only doing stand-up, and that is the antithesis of Renaissance man. But boy, do I want to be a bona fide Renaissance man, and it's probably too late. On one hand, how many Renaissance men were Renaissance men at 31? On the other hand, probably a lot. Boy, I fell down those stairs quickly. I'll never be a Renaissance man. How old was Galileo when he did all his shit? Let's ChatGPT it. ChatGPT. How old was Galileo when he did all his shit? Galileo Galilei didn't do everything at once. No shit. Not what I'm asking, right? His major achievements were spread across his life. Here's a breakdown so you know what he did at what age. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. In his 20s, he studied math and began teaching. I'm a substitute teacher, so we're looking good. Also, I started studying math well before my 20s, so in that sense, I'm ahead of the game. Around age 28 to 30, he was already making discoveries in physics like motion and pendulums. Dude, I discovered sand in my jeans the other day, and I never wear jeans to where there's sand. Or pendulums, for that matter. Never wear jeans to where there's sand and pendulums, and I've always said that. Okay. That's all on Galileo. Anyway, me and Galileo are very similar, and I make too many pit stops is my point, too. That's where I'm getting, and I'll never be Galileo if I just keep pivoting, right? Picking up new stuff. I picked up photography recently. More on that later, but it's definitely going to make me a better comedian. Anyway, dude, I'm 31 and a master of none, and I'll be damned if that's my destiny, right? I got too many irons in the fire and too limited time, so I need to whittle down, is where I'm getting. Otherwise, I'll never be great at anything, least of all stand-up. You know what I mean? There's the real me, dude. Classic defeatist D-talk. Just can't talk for 3 minutes before shimmying in greatness and how he'll never have it. A lot of people ask me for Hero to Go. And I always say, yes, I have a podcast. But contrary to popular belief, I'm just like everyone else, dude. I have a good days and I have a bad days. Mostly good, though, because I have two things on my side, right? I got two things going for me. One, I've got Jesus and millions of dollars. I don't know if I have Jesus, but I did watch Father Stew, and I don't know if it was good. Put that on the billboards. I sure as shit don't have millions of dollars, but I do have a lot of bandanas I use to blow my nose. I've got 1.5 sets of AirPods and a very big blanket my mom knitted me. So, ladies, if you're single, if you're just joining us, which you are, we don't have a guest for this episode because we never have a guest. And on this podcast, we don't try new things. We find what works and we go with something else. So, like I said, strap in, dude. It's the Blam and Eggs Blobcast. Where to begin, man? I gotta tell you, I don't know if this is clear already, but I've been missing some fun in my life lately. And I've been doing a lot of stand-up and working, and that's pretty much it. And where that leaves me on stage is talking about work or talking about doing stand-up. And I know you guys get into those monotonous cycles sometimes. You might not do stand-up, but those cycles, it can be hard to find your way out of it, right? I'm just a human doing human stuff. And, you know, some of you, all you do is eat puree soup and hot Cheetos, for instance. At least one of you is doing that. And you don't know how to like introduce some type of variability. And that's why you're here. You're listening to my podcast, Variability. There you go. Not that I'm the one to like give advice on variability, but I'd suggest if you're eating, you know, tomato soup or whatever, introduce some sort of bisque to your palate. Perhaps some sort of chowder. Some of you, dude, all you do is work and you have no money. I fall into this very sad and confusing category, and I can't give you advice on that either, necessarily. But I can say, as far as finances go, moving credit cards into a personal loan slashes interest. So do some research on that. Some of you, dude, you live an even more confusing life, which is your parents pay for all your stuff at the young age of 31. And I just can't. It's like, how does that happen? How are you still doing that, right? And somehow you don't have all your hopes and dreams. If your parents are paying for all your stuff, dude, just achieve all that you want to do, because it seems that easy outside looking in, dude. Your parents are paying for everything, so you should be able to like have all the stuff you want. And like get there on your own. Even that doesn't make sense because they're paying for all your stuff. You get what I mean, right? If you're trying to write a screenplay and your parents are paying for all your stuff, you better write that screenplay. You better finish that motherfucker. And it better be good too. Right? Like as long as you focus on the thing that you're pursuing, you'll probably get a lot closer to what it is that you're trying to achieve because of all that extra time. I don't know if that's how it works, but it sure as shit should be how it works, right? You're not spending all your time working at a stretch lab, for instance. Just know that, you know, if you're in that position, the rest of us resent the hell out of you. Because no matter how fun or charming you happen to be, we still have to go into work while you do fuck all, whatever it is you do, right? What do you do? How do you live here and not have 3 jobs? I know everyone's got their problems. That's not lost on me. Maybe their parents, maybe your parents are paying for all your stuff and they have unreasonable expectations, right? I could see that being a nightmare. I'm not discounting that. I would also hate to live in my own 2-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood or Venice where everyone is young and tan and beautiful, right? For free. And that's all that's expected of you is you pursue something in earnest. Maybe it's not that simple, right? Maybe they want you to be a doctor, in which case I hear you, man. All the love and support and the time and money in the world was never going to make me a doctor. How do you even become a doctor? But if they just want you to pursue like a passion on their own dime, you got to have one hell of a personality, man, because even then there's a 50% chance that, most reasonable people are going to end up resenting you because miserable people, even the reasonable ones, want you to share in some of that misery, right? Otherwise, it feels like they're somehow harboring your share of misery. And that's not fair. But you don't have a job, so let that be your job, deciphering, like which one of your friends hates you because you don't have to work at Stretch Lab, for instance. I work at Stretch Lab now. One of 4 jobs. And I know that, there's that whole thing about, like if you were them, you'd be them and you'd understand their story. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us can't have a little disdain, right? We got to have something to do. I've got enough rich friends to come up with some very specific examples and, they'd never know that I hate them because, do you know why? Because they're not watching this. Because they're on vacation perpetually. Anyway, for those of us living in the real world, stuck in the monotony, what do you do to mix it up, dude? Because I've been mostly playing chess.com and not doing the podcast a lot. So I don't know if that qualifies as mixing it up. But like I said, dude, just been missing some real fun in my life lately, which poor me, whatever. But it's the real world. Actually, what even is the real world, right? Gaza Strip, 1600s Japan. I'm living in Chuck E. Cheese if the real world is the Gaza Strip. So I get that it's all relative. I'm busy obsessing over how I'm going to make a living bitching into a microphone, right? While my high school classmates are just like working just as much as me or more. Some have 3 kids and they did it to themselves, but that's more real world than me, right? Some of my friends are dead, that they don't count anymore. So some are getting shot at because they're cops at a traffic stop. And they've also got 3 kids at home and a husband whose wiener's only getting smaller. That's the real world. And also I made the cop a woman. You weren't expecting that, were you? Good for me, equal opportunity. So you know what, man? Maybe I don't know what the real world is as well as some others, and maybe passing judgment onto those with inherited wealth eventually gets me to a place of like diminishing returns. It's also just generally unbecoming to bitch about this kind of stuff for too long. So I'm not going to do that because it's like, well, figure it out then, right? Your parents don't pay your rent. So what? Take some agency. Dude, I had a good friend ask me a question, and it was a good question because it gave me pause and it made me look deep. These are my favorite questions because if you know me, you know that there's one thing your boy loves to do, and it's take pause and look deep like a motherfucker. Unless it's 6 a.m., then don't ask me anything. Fuck your questions at 6 a.m. You should have asked me yesterday. Wait till tomorrow now. But it was a good question. And it's a question that you can have for your buddy when you want to shake him up a little bit in a confrontational way. But the good confrontational way, because confrontational just means like directly challenging. I don't know why the question has such a grand introduction, but the question was, are you looking forward to anything fun in the next 3 months? Now, I don't know if that was worth the buildup for you, but here's why it's a good question. If you have something fun in the next 3 months, if your answer is yes, then it's fun to share. And it can put you in a place of gratitude because you have something fun and concrete to look forward to. If you don't have something fun, you get to sit there and think, well, surely I must have something in the next 90 days. Surely there's a Groupon. And I had nothing for her, dude, which is why I'm talking about it. Trips planned, 0. Movie tickets, 0. Farmers markets, 0, right? I had nothing for her. And I thought back to the 3 months prior, and I didn't have anything that stood out. And I just kind of sat there and realized the math of the situation realistically, right? If I don't plan nothing, I won't do nothing. So if you ask yourself, dude, if you ask yourself that question, if you got a big goose egg like me, figure it out, man. Life's too short to have dick to look forward to for 6 months straight. I went to New York for a comedy show in June of last month, and the show fell through, which sucked. But I saw Bill Burr in Glengarry Glen Ross on Broadway, and I felt like I needed to move there because of everything about that place, even though I spoke to mostly homeless people, honestly. But it opened my eyes. And it's coming up on a year now, and I can't just pick up and leave to fucking move to New York. But, irons in the fire and such. I'm working on it. But it was the best thing I did in a couple of years because it made me realize what I was missing out on, what is out there. And I know I'm bitching about money in LA, and I've got another thing coming if I move to New York or realistically, Jersey City. But so what's the holdup, right? Family. I have family here. I got a lot of family in LA. Poor me, right? I still haven't planned anything big for this year, but I've got some ideas, and we'll get to those in the next episode, maybe if I live that long. But I just want to plant that little seed, dude. Like a lot of you are working hard, and that's what's up. But you got to treat yourself. Go to a new place. Tell me where you're going. thespamandeggs@gmail.com, thespamandeggspodcast@gmail.com, and send me nude photographs. A lot of you don't work that hard, and that's what's up too, dude. We don't all have to have like a penthouse skyrise. On one hand, there's not enough room, but on the other hand, there is enough room on that airplane you've been thinking about jumping on, dude. There is enough room on that credit card. Even if there isn't, get a new one, max that bitch out. Do you know what I mean? YOLO. Tell your boss that you're going to be gone for 5 days, right? They're not going to fire you and train another guy. Tell your roommate, utilities are on them next month. You're going to walk the earth. Leave your family. Start a new one, right? Let it be a lesson to them. Tell your kid they whined too much, and now you're going to go find yourself with a younger, hotter woman or a man. Now it's just you and mom. That's what you tell them. I hope some of that was inspiring to you. Probably not, but anyway, that's that. Take a trip, book a flight to a higher place, not a higher place, maybe a higher place, elevation-wise. But go to a nicer place or go to a shittier one. Either way, you gain perspective, which makes you better than other people. And Anyway, dude, we got a lot on the docket today. Mainly the fact, dude, that I have never seen Game of Thrones. All right, I want to talk about this for a minute. I've never watched Game of Thrones, and more importantly, I will never watch Game of Thrones. Every 6 weeks, I have this conversation, but you know, it's like, but it's been out 100 years. I know it's too late. It's not too late. It's on HBO Max and Fandango at home. I know. But they've got two, fully produced spin-off series. I know. I said. But there's dragons. It's like, listen here, fuckface. Are you sponsored by Game of Thrones? Right? Do you get like a sword and armor every time you get someone to check it out? If that's the case, what a job, actually. Sign me up. I'll watch Game of Thrones if that's my job. But here's the thing, dude. Game of Thrones already has a dedicated, formidable, extremely nerdy viewership. They don't need me. Y'all don't need me. One more guy isn't going to lock in a third series. You know what I mean? I'm not the swing vote for a $1 trillion franchise. They already have merchandising and fan fiction for sure, an amusement park in the making probably, and most importantly, they have you. So, leave me out of it. It's okay. Leave me behind. Enjoy the dragons and the Smurfs and whatever else on your perfectly awesome show there is that's pretend and can only be so good. I just want you to experience Game of Thrones. I'm already experiencing not watching Game of Thrones. And as long as I don't watch Game of Thrones, I'm experiencing Game of Thrones. Right? If I do watch Game of Thrones, I only experience it while I'm experiencing it. And then after, it's piss in the wind, like everything else. Also, watching you watch me not watching Game of Thrones is better than Game of Thrones can ever be. I promise you, it is. Only my brother Daniel can convince me to watch some of the Game of Thrones because he swears by it, and he's given having me watch a medium try, right? But I love him. I love him. You guys are extremely cool because you're watching this and you're listening to all this. But Daniel and I have been through the ringer, so I'll do two things for him. I'll do two things for Daniel, among other things. I'll go to War 4 and with him, and I'll watch some of Game of Thrones. But, he has to bring it up a lot. But I don't know what it is about getting people to watch a thing like they made the thing. If you've never had orange chicken and you don't see why you need to have orange chicken, I'm not going to tell you all about the behind the scenes of orange chicken or the director of orange chicken. I guess if I know that you're like an orange chicken type, I'll try a little harder, but I'm not the orange chicken type. So stop trying to sell me on orange chicken. I like orange chicken, but I don't like Game of Thrones. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but I know I don't like it. The only reason to sell me on Game of Thrones is so that we can talk about it later. And I get that that's nice and I enjoy the sentiment, but I much more enjoy talking about how it's never going to happen. And that's the long and short of it, dude. Because it's frustrating for you? Maybe. Because I'm not that into dragons? Definitely. I am into the Crusades. I don't know that much about it, but Game of Thrones seems like pretty Crusades-y. And if we're talking about Game of Thrones and you bring up the Crusades, I might watch all of Game of Thrones. How's that? I can't take a hard stance on anything, dude. Another thing I will never do. Dog sit. I dog sat for 9 days for two dear friends while they were in Japan, and they are excellent people with an excellent dog, but Jesus the Messiah stabbed me in the chest. Is it like being in federal prison? This dog needs 3 walks a day, so leaving the house for any amount of time without feeling bad is off the table. Did I feel bad leaving him in a crate? Yes, but that's not why dog sitting this particular dog feels like prison. It feels like prison because this particular dog never poops. He's like a human girl, dude. He never poops. He's a dog with, honestly, a big old wiener. And I'd put a picture of it on here, but it would get flagged for real because of how human this wiener is. I know it sounds like hyperbole, but you'll have to take my word for it because the dog actually has a human penis. And it doesn't scrape the ground when he walks, it slams on it. When this dog runs, his penis slams the earth, which I want to confront my friends / the owners about, but then I'll have to play all my cards because I'll give it away, dude. I can't bring it up without them knowing how much I stared at this dog's penis every morning and night. It glowed in the dark is how human his penis was. But he never pooped, right? Which is why felt like prison. For 9 days, I walked around the park with this dog and his wiener, waiting for anything to come out of his asshole for 30 minutes sometimes. And I can't stick him in a kennel after that, all that anticipation, right? Because while I'm walking him, every second that passes is another second where I think he's about to go. And I'd rather wait an extra second over and over again than clean it up from his crate later, right? That's just economics. And I actually got to the point where I was about to pull my bare ass out and expose myself in a public park in the middle of the day to show him what I was begging him to do. I figured if he watches me poop, then he'll go like, for sure. And then he'll poop, right? I almost pulled my ass out in public to show him. That way I didn't come back to him in his crate and I got a whole other task now. So you know what I did instead if he didn't poop? This is real. I didn't go to work. It only happened once, right? I only ditched work once because he didn't poop. But that's too many times for that to be the reason to ditch work. Once is all it takes. Is it fun ditching work? Yes. Do I regret it later? Sometimes. When do I not regret ditching work? When it's for something cool, like hanging with a woman, or more realistically, Carl. When do I regret ditching work? When I haven't seen a dog shit on time. I tried everything, dude. I tried taking him out on walks and speaking perfect English to him, and he did not get the gist. This is us every single time when it came time for the poop walk, right? This is me. Nice day, huh? His name's Mickey. Nice day, Mickey. It almost makes you want to take a dump on the floor, right? It almost makes you want to take a dump and watch an open micer retrieve it with his hands. That's how nice this day is. And he'd be like, yeah, it is nice outside. Want to watch me piss on everything? So I'm like, well, you've been pissing on everything for the last 30 minutes, and I'm honestly kind of over it, but you're not my dog, so I can't punch you in the face. So yeah, let's watch you piss on everything again. That would be funny if they forgot to write that down, right? When they left for Japan. Lastly, he won't shit unless you punch him in the face. Sincerely, us. Dude, this dog still had his gonads, which is why it looks so much like a human penis. And someone told me that if he does have his nuts, he pees way more, which makes no sense because the pee is not in the nuts. But a STEM girl told me, so, you know, what do I know? Trust women and all that, especially the STEM ones. But I tried everything, dude. I tried being silent on our poop walks. Tried talking to him, tried being silent. Tranquil, right? Japanese in demeanor. I put my karate belt on and everything, and I'd kneel down and I'd stroke his back and try to get the juices flowing to no avail, right? He would just look up to me like, hey, this is really nice. And I'm like, that's not why I'm doing this. I need you to crouch down, grab your ankles, and shit all over the place now, please. I need to go to work. I told this dog I'd pick his shit up and put it in my pockets. And he either didn't understand me or didn't believe me. So he just didn't shit for 9 days. This is a lot of talk about dog shit, but I told my friend he wasn't shitting. And he goes, well, maybe he's anxious because his parents are in Japan. Which was really dumb and stupid because first off, this dog's parents are not in Japan. His owners are in Japan. But second, this dog can't imagine what Japan even is. So I reject your hypothesis. He's not anxious. He's teasing me because he's smart. And he knows that if he doesn't poop, I stay home and watch him hold in his poops. I got to a point where I for real considered poking him in his asshole. Then I decided I can't just poke a dog's asshole. I wasn't raised that way. But I did think for a second, I'd poke him in his asshole and he'd go like, oh, for sure. I didn't. Okay. And then he'd shit. I did have to stick him in his kennel eventually, and it was like coaxing a human into a wood chipper, dude. It's like, come on, get in. No. No, but I'll give you a treat. It's like, yeah, but I'll die. It's like, you're not going to die. It's like, it seems like I'll die. All right, well, I just won't go have fun then. I just won't go to work. The dog was cool as shit, though. He just wanted to hang out and cuddle, dude, and perpetually follow me around, waiting for me to prove to him that he exists. And it's like, you exist, but you're a dog, right? There's only so much we can do. But we hung out, man. We just laid there, honestly, for 9 days. He made me so lazy. He just laid there, mostly on his back, showing off his very human penis. And just a dog in his dong, dude. The STEM girl called him Long Johnson Mickey. And that is 100% the name of this episode and every episode henceforth. So welcome to the Long Johnson Mickey podcast. I change the name of this podcast too often, dude. My identity crises are leaking into the digital space. And I never thought I'd be that guy. Like grown women who take videos of themselves crying to put on the internet. It's like, why are you doing that? Just call a friend. Here's something, dude. I started taking Abilify a while back and it was working and then it stopped working, which made me wonder if it was ever working. And that's life, huh? That's life. My grandpa used to sing that when my grandma got upset, and Jesus Lord, would it piss her right off. I remember one time my grandma bought a rotisserie chicken, and my grandpa ate all of the skin off the chicken. And my grandma lit his ass up, and my grandpa just looks at me and he goes, that's life. And my grandma went, never mind. Don't sing. You ate all the skin. And So that's them. I miss my grandpa. Anyway, my psychiatrist diagnosed me with adult ADHD about a year ago, and she wants me to wait to prescribe me Adderall because it's a controlled substance, and she thinks I'll abuse it, which is why you never tell your psychiatrist the whole truth. Not that I abuse drugs. She just asked me if I ever drink when I'm depressed, and I paused too long. So never pause, I guess. Also, what kind of question is that? Do I ever drink when I get depressed? It's like, no, I get depressed and then I run a 10K. I run a quick 10K, I build a jungle gym, and I give it to my neighbor. Dude. I actually don't drink when I'm depressed anymore. I just stopped doing stand-up for a week, and then I feel better. And then I keep not doing stand-up, and that's when I start to drink. So that's comedy. The Spam and Eggs podcast at gmail.com, dude. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me what you're up to. Let me know that there's someone out there, and let me know how Bali was, since I inspired you to go to Bali in the beginning. Dude, I know a girl who went to Bali, and she works at a coffee bean, so she can figure it out. So can we, right? What else is going on, man? It's overcast as shit right now, which basically guarantees I'm going to be inside all day. This is what happens when I don't have a shift at work, dude. I'm just an inside guy. Inside guy coming this summer. He's just a guy who stays inside when it's overcast, which makes him super predictable and just like everyone else. Because that's what everyone says when it's overcast, right? It makes them just want to stay inside. So that's what he does. So in that sense, and many others, he's just like everyone. Also, he has too many jobs and no money. So he's basically an LA 10 inside guy coming this fall as well. Because the summer release won't do that well because it's a bad movie, just like every other movie. The movie's dog shit. Talking about dog shit again. I'm not talking about dog shit again. Anyway, man, it's weird. It's weird. Everything's weird.
My yacht is your yacht.
I got so many samples, dude. I got so many samples. Let's work through some of these. Because I was messing with this for honestly months, and I started to get really good at knowing where the pads were and stuff. And I'm going to take these glasses off because I'm a douchebag. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, my hair looks awesome too. So there's this one. And then I want to mix in, stuff. That one is kind of hard to, this one.
Oh, hell no!
That one's, I forgot about that one.
I like to be a peeping Tom if I can.
It's Theo Von, dude. God, that motherfucker's hilarious. This is him.
No fucking fighting!
That's not Theo Von. Did you guys watch that movie? The Peaky Blinders one? Because it's good. And of course, at the end, I'm gonna bleep that out. It's good, but it's so hard to tie up all the loose ends, dude. I'm gonna not talk about the Peaky Blinders because it makes me sad because it's over, because I don't like things being over.
Oh, hell no!
There's this one.
Hundreds of the hottest slots.
What do you hear when you hear that? I'll play it again.
Hundreds of the hottest slots.
What it's saying is hundreds of the hottest slots. But what you definitely hear
Hundreds of the hottest slots.
is hundreds of the hottest sluts. And I like that. That's my favorite one, probably.
I really want to know what you think about this. There's
That's Jordan Peterson.
Just say I'm gay.
I'm gay.
All right.
I'm gay. Anyway, dude,
I think Dayton's fantastic.
thank you. And that's probably the podcast. Thanks for hanging out. And I'm working on trying to do these more often, dude. But I have been doing a lot of stand up, which is good. It's just work, dude. I'm trying to find work, and I can find work. I keep finding work, but like I said, I'm just collecting day jobs.
I'm just collecting day jobs.
Thanks, man. Bye.
No fucking fighting!